Welcome back to College Football Addiction. Another ACC game on Friday night this week. Louisville travels to BC. I've got my buddy Jeremey on from Cardinal Sports Zone. Jeremey, how's it going, bud?
What's going on, man? Excited to try to get back on the winning ways. And, Chestnut Hill's not been a very good place for Louisville. So we're hoping – I don't even know what the heck is a Chestnut Hill anyway.
Just say Boston, right? Like, just say
Uh,
on the road, though, in conference on Friday night. Like, I don't typically love this spot for my teams when it happens because it's hard to win on the road in conference, and then it just feels like weird stuff always happens on weeknights in the ACC. I mean, we had a really weird one last Thursday with Virginia Tech having a huge lead against BC, and BC coming all the way back and then losing it late. I think Teuton's still running in that one. And then same thing, Florida State on Friday night. Outgained Duke by 100 yards. One time of possession, held Duke to 3 of 17 on third downs, and still found a way to lose the game. So weird things happen on a Friday night. How concerning is that for you?
well, first off, I want to let you know I was cheering for you all Friday night.
Yeah, we needed it. You didn't cheer hard enough.
I didn't. Well, here's the thing, and I'm taking the blame for this, Seminole fans. I apologize. It is on me because we had to start our show, and I didn't get to when right as the show was starting, you all were ahead. Then the show started. I didn't get to watch the end of it. They told me after the show that you all had lost, and I felt complete blame. So I'm taking the L for this one. I apologize.
Don't do that again.
Okay, I won't do it again. But as far as your question on Friday nights, as I was telling you before the show, Conference USA was made on weekday. We played Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Heck, sometimes they even created new days of the week just so they could put us on there and play Southern Miss at 11 a.m. on whatever day they made up. But no, I don't mind the Friday games. I'm really glad that we're down to just one game a year that's not on Saturdays. And I understand why they want to put each ACC team in a prime time slot during the season. So I'm okay with it. The thing I'm not okay with is that since we've joined the conference, we're 3-5 in Chestnut Hill, whatever the heck it is. My guy AJ, he does the Locked On Boston College, and I give him crap all the time. I'm like, what the heck is a Chestnut Hill? I don't. You should either be the Chestnut Hill College Eagles or just be in Boston. Like, get over it. But no, I am very worried about this because in this series, Boston College, and I love Boston College, Boston College friends. But when we entered the ACC, we were like, all right, Boston College and Wake Forest, those are guaranteed wins every year. They're not going to be an issue. And those two have been two of the biggest thorns in our side since we've joined. Again, we're 3-5 in Chestnut Hill against Boston College. The last time we were up there, Zay Flowers and them come down. We had the lead with like a minute or so left, and they just come right down the field and beat us. Now, we throttled them last year here. But all the other games, there's only one other game in the history of the series. Well, since I've been alive, let me say that it was the night of my official visit to Louisville, and we beat them 52-28 that night. The only other margin that was as bad was this past year, and I think it was 56-28. But that's here. I feel good with us, even though they've beaten us here too, once or twice. I feel less. That's why at the beginning of the year. And we talked about this also before the show, I predicted Louisville to have two losses. One of them was going to be to the trio of Miami, Notre Dame, Clemson. I felt really good about us beating the other two. And the other one was going to come to Boston College. So and I felt really good about that after the first month of the season when they were ranked at one point. They had a lot more wins than losses, and they've kind of crapped the bed since the Western Kentucky game. Western Kentucky almost beat them. So I don't feel great about it, but I still feel like our team is strong enough to make the changes needed to beat them this Friday night.
Yeah, I almost wonder too, like where both teams are mentally. Louisville coming off of a loss where I think you could play the moral victory game a little bit, right? Like you lost to a really good team. Like it's not you certainly would rather just play the we won game. But then BC too, like to get down by so much on a Thursday night and then come all the well, they didn't come all the way back, but to get it within a touchdown and so feel like you're right back in it, and then to just kind of, through the last quarter just kind of get throttled. And where is their mind at? Louisville is still above 500 at least, and I wonder who can bounce back a little bit better. Maybe that'll be a testament to Bob or Brom, having their team kind of ready to go. I actually do think both teams will kind of be ready to bounce back. I mean, it's a Friday night game, and there's a lot of excitement around being on national TV and playing at night and in a big matchup. And it's kind of a season saver for one of these two teams, right? Like, you're still not going to hit the expectations that you maybe had for Louisville. Boston College, you're in a first year. But if Boston College loses this one, you're like, man, we're reeling. We're not going to make a bowl. And same thing kind of for Louisville, too. You've got some tough games on the back half of the schedule. We know about Clemson and other things. But if you drop to BC, it starts to make other games down the stretch questionable, too. So a really big game for both teams. And I kind of wonder who bounces back better.
Absolutely. And for both teams, they do have, we have a tougher schedule at the end with ranked Pittsburgh, ranked Clemson. We've got, we're playing Pittsburgh, Clemson, Kentucky, Boston, and there's somebody else I'm forgetting. I can't believe I'm forgetting.
Stanford on the West Coast. I think you guys know it, but it is on the West Coast.
That's why I forgot about them. But I mean, even Boston College, they've got upstart Syracuse next week. They've got SMU, ranked SMU the week after. They've got ranked Pittsburgh, and they've got North Carolina, which they're so iffy at times. Boston College, if they lose this game, may not win another game the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So yes, it's important for them to come out quick. And it's a horrible place to be. I don't envy either of our teams being in this position with 5 games left in the season.
We talked a little bit about the mobility of Cam Ward being the slowest mobile quarterback that has ever existed, and whether he's running slow or nonchalant or whatever. But somebody who doesn't run slow is Thomas Castellanos, one of the more dynamic quarterbacks, certainly running the ball, has an arm too. Like, don't make him just a runner, but no team is really equipped to just stop a mobile quarterback. That is certainly something that you have to spend an inordinate amount of time setting up for and prepping for. But just thoughts on trying to limit him and limit his legs, because in kind of a desperation game, I don't think they can leave anything in the chamber. I think they'll certainly try to use his legs even when they can.
Absolutely. This is, he's not had the best season passing wise so far. He's only at about 65% completion rate. He's been sacked a lot, and that's something that Louisville's going to have to do if they're going to defeat Boston College, is get pressure. But he's not. He's only thrown for 1,200 yards this season in 7 games. That's barely over 200. He's rushed for 100. Here's the thing, though. He's only rushed. I say only rushed for 161 yards this year. He's going to rush for 100 against Louisville, and I think we want him to. I know that always sounds like a cop out, but we have great defenders. We have a good defensive line. If you're going to beat Louisville, you're going to have to throw those slants in the middle of the field. You're going to have to be able to get loose as a mobile quarterback, and he is a fast quarter. He did well against us last year as well. I don't remember exactly his stats, and then we still throttled him. So, but we allowed him to run more than he passed last year. So I think that's the winning formula here. We don't want to let him run at all, but if he's going to get going, that's where I would rather him get going, because if you look at the stats, he doesn't. Again, his leading receivers only got 34 catches this year for 376 yards. Louisville's leading receiver has got 36 catches for twice as many yards and 8 touchdowns. So I'm not really worried about his arm too much. I'm more so worried because we have, other than Cam Ward and Riley Leonard, we have allowed all the other quarterbacks to be able to pretty much run at will. So I'm looking forward to redeeming. This is a game of redemption for me. We had at the end of this game, I'll be able to tell you how the rest of the season's going to go.
In this one, how do you guys feel health wise? Is there anybody that you're kind of concerned about? I know there was some stuff we talked about last week. How do you feel coming into this injury wise?
Well, Coach Brom announced today in the press conference that Jeremey Johnson he was the one that was hip drop tackled towards the end of the game. He's out for the season, so that was an unfortunate thing, and we're going to have a couple more guys. So when we recorded our show before we knew the extent of all the injuries, I predicted a pretty big win. It wasn't because it was because I knew the team didn't like the taste in their mouth that they got. This is now 3 games, so I predicted a 52-6 victory for Louisville on the show this weekend. Only reason I picked 6 is because they've only kicked 1 field goal all year, Boston College, and they made it. Congratulations. So I wanted to be a smart aleck and be like, well, they'll kick 2 against us. They've only kicked 1 all year. They'll kick 2 against us. We're going to, on a short week, and with as hard as we had to play against Miami, we are going to be, I would imagine there are going to be multiple players out that's not been announced. Even when the reporter asked today in the press conference, can you tell us who all is going to be out Friday? He said, and I quote, it'd probably be easier for you to just ask me names because there's so many that are going to be out. So I do not feel as confident, but injuries will play a part in the game this week. So we'll just have to wait and see who all is injured.
So right now, 7-point spread. It opened up at like 6.5, bet up just a little bit to right touchdown. I do kind of like Louisville there. I like Louisville to cover this. I don't think BC, like I think BC was riding high early, and I obviously their Florida State win that kind of made you think like, oh wow, he's got something going in year one. I don't know how much credit you really continue to get for that Florida State win. I mean, I still think it's impressive to go into Doak and win, but then when Memphis does it a week later and, everybody else, Duke beats Florida State for the first time in history. Like, I think that it loses some of its luster if we're being a little bit honest. I'm hating on my own team here, but I still do think Louisville just at the end of the day, Shuck is, I'm very impressed with him. I think that even being on the road, which is a scary place to play on a Friday night. Don't get me wrong in conference. BC has been a house of horrors for a lot of teams up on the road in Chestnut Hill, if that's what we're going to call it. But I like Louisville minus the 7. Obviously that, Vegas is still building mansions out there in the desert for people like me that think that they can outsmart them. But I still like the Cards minus 7 here. So I don't know, if you've got to bet it, you taking yourself as well.
I'm going 28-20 Cards.
I like it.
Which is a long way from 52-6, but I feel like most of our injuries are going to be on the defensive side. I don't know that, again, pure speculation. We weren't told in the press conference today who all was out other than our stud tight end, Jeremey Johnson. The hip drop tackle needs to be treated the same way on the college level as it is in the pro level, because that was intentionally done. And I'm not calling Miami dirty much, but it's just, that was a horrible, that should have been a penalty. It wasn't a penalty, and now he's out for the season, a former 5-star Oregon commit that ended up flipping to Louisville. So 28-20 Cards, that's my prediction.
Jeremy, where can people follow you? Where can they find more of your work?
They can find all of our photo galleries and exclusive interviews at cardinalsportzone.com. They can catch our show every Friday night at 10:05 p.m., every Sunday at 1 p.m. unless otherwise noted. This Friday we're not going live. We're actually going to be doing a show here in a few minutes after we get done to kind of make up and talk about stuff for the week for that show. So it's a good time. You can go to @CardSportZone on Twitter or Cardinal Sports Zone on YouTube.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you a ton for hanging out. Good luck on Friday.
Thank you, boss. I appreciate you. Go Cards. And Seminoles.
We need it. We need the love.